You couldn't pay me $1,000 to bet a Bears line. I probably will take the Bears +4 in this game.
What's going on, guys? Beanie Boys episode 3 here. Episode 2 is much better than episode 1, I felt like. On to 3 now. The boys were watching some football today, had some heartbreakers. But we're going to throw it to Mackie real quick, hear what he was sipping on today. Mac, what was your bourbon of the day, buddy?
Russell's 13, great choice for Anthony Richardson's Resurgence, my favorite pour of all time. Back over to you guys in Indiana.
Yeah, so before we get into our college basketball segment that we usually start with, I'd just like to go over that heartbreaking Bears loss. You know, it's been a long time since that Bears team has given me a feeling like they did today, I'll be honest. I think that most people feel that way as well. This one was stolen from us. And shout out Ron in Florida. Your team won. Didn't deserve to. But, I know your team won today, John, but today really was a heartbreaker. The Bears looked so good getting rid of that offensive corner. He sucked. And it was good to see some creativity. And then go figure, with the game on the line, the kick gets blocked. Mackie, what was your thoughts on that game, man?
Heartbreaker. But the Bears couldn't close drives all day, and they left it up to the kicker, and whatever happened, unfortunately. That's the way I kind of saw it. It was a very evenly played game. The two will play again here later in the season and see what happens.
DP, anything?
Yeah, watching the game, you kind of felt that Caleb Williams actually felt comfortable for once this year. They only had 3 sacks, so the offensive line really held their own today. I don't know if they really hated Shane Waldron that much, that now all of a sudden, both tackles are playing, everyone's playing. Caleb looked a lot more comfortable. But, just typical Bears fashion to lose to the Packers in that way. It's just how it happens.
It's our whole life.
Life. 2018 is the last time they beat them, so.
Shout out Mitch.
Yep, Money Mitch. We'll take you back. Yes, no.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm torn up. John, you got anything to add to something stupid? Don't say it.
Yeah, Rodgers is gone. Packers still proud owner of the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams looked great. I thought the whole Bears offense looked a lot better without Waldron there, but at the end of the day, I still think the better team won. If it was in Green Bay, I don't think it would have been a close game. They made a play at the end, and the Bears' suffering season continues, just like what I love to see.
All right, though, to get into our college hoops segment, we'll be breaking down the Big 12 today, but a couple games that we got to watch these past couple days was the Champions Classic. John, do you want to go over some of the games that we were watching and give you a recap on it?
Yeah, first, that Kansas-Michigan State game, I'm just starting to wonder, when are they going to take Michigan State out of the Champions Classic? I understand they're a blue blood, but they haven't won a national championship in 24 years, and it's like every year in the Champions Classic, they're playing a close game. They're within 4 and 6 at the end of the game, 3-4 minutes to go, and the other team always just ends up pulling away. So I thought that was a great game to start, but Kansas is just too good, way too much talent. Hunter Dickinson is the 8th year of college basketball, just absolutely just dynamic. He kept Kansas with the lead in the first half. They were struggling offensively, and I think Hunter Dickinson had like 16 or 17 in that first half of that game. So, and then the second game, Duke and Kentucky. Kentucky just gritty. Wow. Is it a new team out there in Kentucky with Mark Pope at the helm? Just gritty, tough. Calipari coached a lot of flashy basketball teams, and what I love to see was Andrew Carr at the end of that game just took it over, man. And it was awesome to see. That was a great game, and what do you know? A freshman chokes down the stretch in a big game early in the year. So I'm going to pass this one to you, DP. What do you think about those two games? Both two great games, though, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you with the Michigan State getting taken out of the Classic. We could have a debate any time on who we'd want to replace them, but then again, as we all say in our group chats and everything, the Little 10 never fails. They haven't won a championship since 2000, which was Sparty.
Yep.
So, do they have a right to be there, considering they're the last Big Ten champion or what? But yeah, Hunter Dickinson, he needs to retire. Please go pro.
Yeah, seriously.
Go overseas, do whatever you have to do. Going into Kentucky Duke, as you said, Cooper Flagg down the stretch, just making high school plays, like the one that he dribbled off his foot into the corner. he should know better than to take the ball into the corner at the end of the game. Like, they want to trap you there, obviously. But in a reverse for Kentucky, though, it seemed to be a more veteran presence that won Kentucky the game, which is something they really never had before. And it was just, young guys versus old guys at the end of the game, and old guys usually prevail early in the season, definitely.
New era in Lexington for sure.
So, Mackie, I'm going to comment on this game. We loved seeing Duke lose. Shout out Cavi. Blue Devils suck. Mackie, being a Kentucky guy, how good did that feel? One, to beat Cavi's Duke team, but also just like knowing that this Kentucky team could potentially be for real.
It was a fantastic win. It felt great. Felt like the complete reverse of what we've seen from Calipari teams. Last year, we led Kansas by 14 at halftime, and they came back and beat us by, I think, 5. That was heartbreaking, to be honest. It was just time for a change, and I think that came out and set the tone right away. You get punched in the mouth in the first half, you keep fighting, and you wear them down, running tempo, and everyone's like, oh, well, Duke missed all these wide-open shots and this and that. And I'm not going to say Duke played their best game, because they didn't. And I don't want to see that Duke team again down the stretch. I absolutely do not. But what people don't realize is the reason that they were missing a lot of these shots is they were fatigued. Kentucky was running tempo at them, and when you wear down young guys that already have cramping issues, that's the type of stuff you start to see. They miss the layups, they miss the jumpers. Right. That's what happens. And like that flag turnover at the end, that's what will happen.
Yeah,
he was trying to do too much.
It's typical out of a freshman with that much lights on him, you'd say, John.
Oh, absolutely. That's just crazy to me. I mean, that's what happens when you're a big-time school like that and you're getting 5-star recruits every year and playing in top 10, top 15 matchups at the beginning of the year. I mean, but I don't think it's anything to overreact about if you're Cooper Flagg or if you're Duke. I don't even remember the statement I made last week, but I think he's the next LeBron James, and I stand by that. He's just going to learn from those mistakes and get better.
Yeah, Mac, you got anything to say to that, or no? We'll be heading into excuse me. Sorry, Mac.
Yeah, no, we'll let Johnny's comment go. Flagg's a really good basketball player. He'll end up being the number 1 pick, not a doubt in my mind. But it happens. I mean, inexperience at the end of the games, it'll only get him to be better down the stretch.
All right, gentlemen. Well, we'll be breaking down the Big 12 today. Exciting conference.
Oh, yeah.
John, who's your dark horse, buddy?
So I would argue this is the best conference in college basketball. Give me Baylor at plus 800. Give me the Baylor Bears to win this conference. I think Kansas is the obvious pick, but I ain't rolling with them. I'm rolling with the Baylor Bears. They're very well coached. They got veterans at Norchad Omier and Jeremy Roach. They got blown out early in the year. Bounced back huge against Arkansas. They got players like Jaden Nutt. A guy that I look at off the bench a lot for them is Robert Wright. He's a guy that he's playing 17, 18 minutes a game. He's averaging about 10 points. He's a 3-and-D type of guy. He can get to the rim. I'm a big fan of this Baylor team. They're quick. They're going to score a lot of points, and I think they're one team that can keep up with as far as ability to score against teams like Kansas and Houston and other teams like that. But Baylor to me at plus 800 is the only really underdog pick that I got outside of just stating the obvious in Kansas. So I'm going to pass this one to you, DP. Who you got winning the Big 12 this year, kid?
Yeah, my Big 12 dark horse out here. Shout out to Baby Bash. Move your body like a cyclone.
Wow.
Let's go Iowa State.
Iowa State, the Cyclones.
Wow.
Yeah, so here with Iowa State, I mean, I think they got a really talented trio. They've always, been really good at defense. Number 1 in Ken Pom last year. And so that usually travels well with defense. But we always know that their offense is very skeptical at times. I mean, there are a couple games this year. They've only scored 80-some points. Their leading scorer is averaging 13. But they also have 2 guys that are at 12, 12.5, and 11. So it's a really well-balanced offense, but they just really don't, have the scoring output of some of these other teams. They are plus 350 on DraftKings. Shout out.
Shout out
DraftKings. Sponsor us, baby. Sponsor us.
But yeah, I'm taking Iowa State. I just think defense will travel well. I mean, the Big 12 is a deep conference, as John said, with them, probably being the best conference in basketball this year. So, defense travels, offense may not. So they're going to have to, win gritty games like Houston. That could be a game that the under is 106.5 in.
Yeah,
because that's just
seriously.
a defensive-minded 2 programs there. But we're going to Iowa State. Z?
this, like you guys said, the Big 12 conference is going to be like most competitive in my opinion. You know, they got some great new additional teams, but I have the winning team again, and this team just knows how to put the ball in the hoop. Give me BYU.
Crazy. That is crazy.
That's bizarre.
That is
BYU.
Dude, they're 30-1 on DraftKings.
30-1. I mean, don't even waste your money. Save it, Zach. Horrible take.
BYU plus 3,000. Give me the freshman from Russia, Igor Demon. This guy's a stud. I don't know if you guys have watched any BYU games this year. It could just be because I'm a degenerate. But this kid averages 17 points and runs the guard, and I'm pretty sure he's 6'9". This kid gets to the rack. I mean, he had a dunk the other night, left-handed slamma-jamma, and it was nasty. They also have a big man, Kiba Kiata. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's averaging 10 rebounds. This team puts the ball in the hoop. I think they're averaging like 91 points per game. And, I mean, if you're going to be in this conference, you're going to have to adapt to compete with these big teams. You know what I mean? So I think that at the end of the day, after BYU adapts to maybe playing those like high-intensity defenses like Iowa State and Houston that DP mentioned, the Cougars will be on top of the Big 12.
You're crazy.
Mac?
58% from the line this year, BYU.
That is not great. They're putting the ball in hoop, though. Mac, what do you think, buddy? Who is your dark horse?
I don't really buy the BYU hype as much as you do. I do like what they're going to be doing and setting up in the future. Kevin Young's going to be a good coach there. He's obviously going to get the number one recruit in the entire class next year, it looks like. But my dark horse, I'm sticking with the hometown team. You can give me the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Ooh, I
They
like
should
it.
be
I like
20
it.
to 1 on Circa right now.
I saw him plus
Wes Miller's been
1,100.
building the program up.
You like Mac the Bearcats, huh?
Yeah, Wes Miller's been growing the program back up. Pardon me. Stick with me. I've been sick the last few days. Can't talk.
Oh, you're
But
good.
he's been building the program back up from the ground. They've returned a lot of players. Dan Skillings, Bandango, I think his first name's Aziz. I don't know how to say it. Brought in Dylan Mitchell from Texas. Solid defensive ad, can get boards when needed. CJ Frederick in his 12th year of college. Hamstrings made of jello at this point. I don't know why he keeps playing, but he is there, and he'll be there.
All right, Mac. You know
Jizzle James, Edgar and James's kid, Dan Skillings, two fantastic guards. Simus Lukosius, fantastic guards. All three average over 15 a game.
You know, I think there might be a little bit of bias to you being out there in Ohio, Mackie, but shout out Cincinnati Bearcats, minus 16.5 first half against Nicholls State. I cashed that this weekend.
You were sweating that one out bad.
I was. It was bad. Shout out Huffines House. Speaking of Huffine, we do have to mention the Bama-Purdue game in Mackey Arena. John, what's your thoughts, buddy?
I don't even want to talk about it, man. But, you know, Edie's gone. Everybody talked this Purdue team. That's all they had last year. And I think we're being proved wrong early. I mean, veteran leadership and Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer at the guard position. This Purdue team's still legit. They still somehow got 3 7-footers on their team. Just reloading and just getting better every year. I swear Matt Painter might be the best player developer in college basketball. I don't think he's the greatest coach in big moments, but this man develops players, starting a lot of freshmen. One guy I want to talk about is Trey Kaufman-Wren.
Yeah, I love him. I hate Purdue, John, but that kid can play, can't he?
Cut his hair.
I mean, this kid's a stud. I mean, this Bama team's a team that we're talking about. I mean, national champion.
Yep.
I mean, they got a chance definitely to get to the Final Four, and wow, do they got a stretch of games coming up. So we'll see if Bama can bounce back. But as far as that game goes, Purdue's still Purdue.
John's drunk. Talking about the national championship that Purdue will be making it.
I said Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. Excuse me, buddy. I'm sorry. I agree
Alabama,
with that. We know how Purdue is in March, but DP, what was your take on the game?
Yeah, it's just in typical Purdue fashion. They're good in November and December. Come later in the year, those go downhill. But the main factor became the 3-point shooting in this game.
Yeah.
Some that Bama, they like to run and gun, shoot threes, and Bama shot 31% from three compared to Purdue's 56%.
That's a big margin.
Big difference on Bama shot 29 attempts compared to Purdue's 16, but Purdue had C.J. Cox come off the bench and hit 3. 3 for 3 from 3. Huge spark off the bench for Purdue, but unfortunately Purdue did get a ranked win against the number 2 team in the country. But it'll always happen. It is November and December, so we'll see how they fare in March, like always.
Speaking of that Cox kid, did you see how he got recruited there? Painter was watching another guy that he was trying to recruit, and that's how he ended up finding that C.J. Cox kid. So, also
he was watching Travis Perry.
Yeah, he's watching Travis Perry, and that's
pursuing.
how he got that kid. I'd say it's a pretty good get for them. But Mackey Arena sucks. If I loaded my house up with 17,000 people, I think it'd be pretty loud too. That place is tiny. It's sad, dude.
What do you think, Mac? What was your take from that game?
I'm not even going to focus on the Purdue side of things. I'll give them their credit. Fantastic win. I certainly didn't see it happening. Alabama, for being a preseason favorite, people are talking about maybe being one of the best college basketball teams ever. I had seen that touted around. They have not been impressive to me once this year so far. Not a once. Arkansas State had them on the ropes late. McNeese is a fantastic mid-major. Bama beat them by 8. But McNeese hung around in the game when Bama had a chance to really put it away. They were up by 20 in the second half. McNeese fights and scraps and claws back, and then they come out at Purdue and they just look flat.
Yeah, I agree. We were watching this together, DP, and we were hoping for some points, and we weren't getting that in the first half, but they came through. But it was just I felt like Alabama just had no rhythm. We're used to seeing that transition quick, hit it to the corner, shots going up. And I felt like they had a lot of, slowing it down. I don't know.
Yeah, they were trying to just dribble too much. It's something that, teams like that really don't do. They like to run and gun. But a lot of pump fakes.
Yeah.
They had guys open on the arc for 3 and it's pump fake and try and dribble. It's like Purdue's not going to jump. It's like just shoot the ball.
Yeah, they're well disciplined. And, shout out Sears, though. I love watching him play basketball. And I thought that he would maybe win this game for them, but I think the Boilers were just ready. They looked good.
Second best player in the country.
All right, buddy.
And Alabama struggled to start the year last year too, and it really did not matter. But let's take a look here. You were at Purdue on Friday. You play Illinois on Wednesday, and then you get the rest of the week off, and then you play Houston and Rutgers out in Vegas, and then you get a week off, and you go to Chapel Hill, face North Carolina, or you get 10 more days off, and then you welcome Creighton. So the boys better get it rolling now, otherwise they're going to be in some trouble.
They call that the gauntlet, huh, Mac? But Mac, give us your 3 games that you think that everyone should be watching this upcoming week.
They will sucker me into team totals.
Yep. So we're really starting to get into the thick of things here. This is the week before Feast Week, and there'll be a million different games to watch that we can talk about. 3 games this week I want to look at: Gonzaga, San Diego State. Gonzaga, obviously, we've talked about plenty of times. They're a fantastic program, great team this year. San Diego State's lost a lot of their pieces. I want to see how they reload, and realistically, it probably won't be the best game in the world, but it is at San Diego State. It should be a solid test for Gonzaga here early. It's 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Purdue and Marquette on Tuesday would be game number 2. I know there's a lot of people that are excited to see that. Purdue goes on the road to Milwaukee. 2 teams filled with veterans, and we'll see what happens. Two very good coaches when it comes to this time of year as well. I must also point that out.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Friday, Duke, Arizona, at Arizona.
Caleb Love sucks.
I know everyone's fired up for that.
Caleb Love does indeed suck.
Yeah, but that's the bad thing. He's seeing blue.
Yeah.
He's seeing Duke blue. That's something that, he'll probably go for 40.
Yeah, 40 on 60 shots, John.
I was going to say 80.
He, as Mackey says, Caleb Love is a certified chucker.
He is.
I don't know. But if I were to throw a 3-legger in there with those picks, you would give me the Gonzaga spread, whatever it is. That San Diego State team, I don't think, is going to be able to maintain the pace of Gonzaga. I don't think at all.
Gonzaga team total.
Without
First half
Liddell,
and game.
without Ledee.
Yeah, Jaden Ledee.
Without Ledee, excuse me. Yeah. I don't think that's San Diego. And where did
Micah Parrish went to
Yeah,
Ohio
Parrish
State.
is gone, and then Kentucky. What's his name?
Lamont Butler.
Yeah, I mean, this no chance that this team has a chance for Gonzaga. I mean, no shot. I mean,
I will note this. They just opened up at -12 on DraftKings. Gonzaga did.
yeah, go and hammer that. Seriously, it could get bad.
Yeah.
Where's that game at, Mac?
It's at San Diego State.
Yeah, don't care. Give it to me. Then we'll go to the Boiler Marquette game. Give me the Boilers. You know, I hate saying it. I really do. But after watching them beat Bama, they were good. They're well disciplined. Like John says, Painter over there knows how to train his kids. And then you can just feed me the Blue Devils. I mean, they're not going to lose 2 big games in a row. Or not in a row, but in the same. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What do you think, John?
I think especially in this Gonzaga SDSU game, at San Diego State, they're a well-coached team. They play defense. You can give me the Aztecs +12 for sure. Gonzaga, they're a running gun, but they're not going to be able to do whatever they want against a very good defensive team, especially with it's going to be a good atmosphere, a good road test for them early in the season. So you can feed me San Diego State +12. Purdue Marquette, you know, I don't know what the spread on that game is, or I'm sure it'll move a little bit, but you could definitely probably give me Purdue. Just take the money line, just maybe add it to a little parlay, use it as a little bit of a profit boost or odds boost, something of that nature. So give me the Purdue money line there, and then I'm not going to take a pick in the Duke-Arizona game. Just give me the over. There's going to be a lot of points. Caleb Love's going to shoot the ball 80 times. Cooper Flagg will probably have 10 turnovers, but his 30 points will make up for it. So give me the over in that game. 3 very high-level college basketball games. So
I agree, yeah.
great week of college basketball coming up here, boys, and I'm excited for it. So
DP, would you like to add anything on that? Or do you want to?
Yeah, I'll be taking Gonzaga's team total in that game without a doubt. Marquette versus Purdue, that could be a tricky one, but I also like the first half over probably in that game, both team totals as well.
Right.
And Duke and Arizona, that could be a 100 to 105 type slugfest in a game like that. So, I mean, overs all around for me. That's just how I roll.
That is how you roll, buddy. And if anyone knows DP like we do, he's always sweating points.
Never bet the under.
Never.
Life's too short.
But we're switching it up to college football, and you know where we're going. So we have some boots on the ground, actually, this upcoming matchup against the Hoosiers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Mackie and Johnny will be out at that crappy stadium. John, give us your rundown of what you think is going to be going on that Saturday.
So tough for me, man. You know, as soon as this game came out, I've been looking at it ever since I've seen it. The Hoosiers get rolling. I'm nervous. You know, I've been a diehard Ohio State fan my whole life. I went to IU. It's just like I have no clue who to root for, but game day is going to be there. It's a top 5 matchup. It's my 2 favorite schools, and it's going to be electric. Honestly, fill my holes with points.
Shout out Mikey over.
Shout out Mikey over. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I think Ohio Stadium is going to be rocking. They haven't hosted a big game there yet this year. You got to think they played at Oregon, at Penn State. So Ohio Stadium finally getting a big game this year. Of course, an 11 a.m. game.
Yeah, it's horrible. Should be a night game.
We know DP hates those, but the big matchup I look for in this game is IU's offense against Ohio State's defense. This Ohio State defense is probably got guys in NIL money added up to about $12 million. I mean, getting Caleb Downs from Alabama, JT Timalao's back, Jack Sawyer's back, Lathan Ransom's back, Denzel Burke's back. I mean, they got everybody. This Ohio State defense is loaded. And I just wonder if this high-powered Indiana offense can score. And the biggest thing that I worry about is can IU run the ball against this defense. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a great game, and I personally will be rooting for the Hoosiers. So give me the Hoosiers to continue this miracle season. So, DP, what's your takes on this game, brother?
Yeah, I mean, one that could be, a very hot take is, but if Ohio State beats this team by 21 points, IU's out of the top 15.
Wrong. This is wrong.
I only say that because they really haven't, IU has beat the crap out of everybody that they played. And Ohio State's been in some games, like the Nebraska game. IU fans are going to be like, we beat the crap out of Nebraska. You guys, pulled one out at the end. But we'll see how they play. I'm with Johnny, but I'm on the opposite end. Wonder how Ohio State's offense will be. I mean, I think that they haven't seen anyone like, Jeremiah Smith at all. And Judkins is an absolute load to bring down.
Yeah.
But being Ohio State, you're going to have to, rely on Will Howard to make a play again. And, being at home probably allows them to be more comfortable in what they're doing. I think it'll be a great game. I'll be tuned in. Unfortunately, at 11 a.m. should be a 6:30 kickoff in the shoe, but should be a good game. This one will decide, Big Ten who goes and plays Oregon.
Yeah, let me grab this real quick. So, that was just a great idea by the IU athletic department, extending Kirk Cignetti before this game. I'm not saying Kurt would have left, but I think that getting him to sign the contract before this Buckeyes game was a huge thing. I personally will be taking the Hoosiers plus 12. I think that is too many points for a team that can score points. And I know, like John just said, we haven't seen a defense like Ohio State's. We haven't. But I don't know. On CBS, Mackenzie Brooks, I didn't like your take, so I tweeted at you. I know our strength of schedule isn't very tough, but we're blowing out teams. This sad Buckeyes team only beat Nebraska by 4. We beat them by 49. We blow out teams. I know that Michigan game was close, but Rourke made an uncharacteristic mistake on our own 10-yard line that gave him 7 points. Feed me the Hoosiers.
Yeah, to touch on this a little bit right before I send it to Mackie here about this game, I just want to point out, I think if you look at the eye test of these two teams, I think Indiana has looked like the much better football team. But when you go on paper and you look at Ohio State, it's just like you wonder at what point is this team going to look like the roster that they have, and they're just going to absolutely dominate somebody. And I hope it's not this week, but I'm with DP. I could see this game getting up in that 20, 30-point range of a beatdown. I hope not, but I just think that I do think IU's look like the better team all year, but I just wonder if Ohio State's going to figure it out at some point, and hopefully it's not this week. Mackie, what do you think about this game?
Mackie, let me just add something real quick. It'll be very short. Will Howard sucks. All right, Mackie, you got it. He's horrible.
You guys can just you can save my segment on this game for a low line hanging fruit. I'll get to it then.
All right, perfect.
It's a little preview.
Well, that's perfect. We're gonna head into
one thing about them inking Cignetti, very well possibility that if the Hoosiers win this game, Ryan Day is fired and Cignetti's Ohio State's head coach next year.
Ryan Day is a horrible coach, and that is not a hot take. But we will be looking into the BYU Cougars, Johnny's favorite football team.
Johnny's favorite team.
John, were you right all along?
I think since the first episode, I've told you guys, keep clipping this stuff because BYU is fraudulent. This team is Jayhawk. But yeah, I just think that, this Kansas team is scorching hot. They play Colorado next week. Big game. Can't wait. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be electric. A lot of points there. But BYU's bad. They haven't looked great all year. They've been in close games with bad teams. And wow, losing at home to a 4-6 football team.
3-6.
3-6. Now 4-6. And you're going to tell me this team belongs in the playoff? Holy cow, they might need a little more prayer, I'll be honest.
John, it's laughable.
It's absolutely laughable. It's horrible. This coach, the arrogance of him, he's calling. He's got 2 timeouts. The game's over, and he's calling them while they're taking knees. It's just horrible. This BYU program honestly should be ashamed of themselves and how they think they're good and think they belong. I'll be honest, I don't think they're a top 25 team in the country.
DP, what do you think?
Wow.
John's fired up.
That was very impressive.
I've said it all year, brother. I've said it all year.
You have.
So as John said, this next week game, I'm going to skip past this. I don't think BYU is deserving of the 12-team playoff at all.
No.
Moving on to the next week, though, so I'm dealing with Kansas, them having to play Colorado. That could be a huge matchup. Do they match them speed for speed? Probably not, but, Rock Chalk's hot right now.
Rock Chalk is hot.
And this could set up really well for Arizona State, as we were talking, off pod, with them having to play BYU.
Right.
Coming off a loss here, Arizona State, Mr. Dillingham trying to take advantage over there at ASU. And I'm sure that they will because he does not like to lose games. So look up for a big shakeup here in the Big 12. I'm very interested to see, what that conference championship will look like, as well as their spot in the playoff.
Yeah, Mac, what do you think about that Colorado-Kansas matchup coming up?
Colorado-Kansas should be a fantastic game. I believe it's at Arrowhead, correct? Not in Boulder.
I'm not sure on that. I don't want to.
Yeah, it is at Arrowhead Stadium. You are correct.
Wow.
The home of Daddy Mahomes.
Yep. Vintage Big 12 matchup here. Bringing it back to the limelight. I'm looking forward to seeing this. Kansas is playing some good football finally. The Kansas plus 2.5 line was as free as it gets. If you know anything about reading spreads, why in the world would a 3-6 football team that had preseason expectations and has faltered all year, quarterback hasn't looked healthy, why in the world would they be a 2.5-point dog only against an undefeated football team? Vegas has said that BYU sucked all year. I don't think they suck, but they are definitely not in a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I don't.
And I hate their coach. Let me throw that in too. I can't stand that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved it. We lived Kansas. We were in the living room.
Yep.
Where all bets usually cash. And young Kel, DP's fiance, was like,
Shout out Young Kel.
yeah, shout out young Kel. Who do I throw $20 on? She always does that. And we both just look at her and go, Kansas. BYU's horrible, man.
Kansas money line.
And John, it hurts
halftime.
me to say this, John, but you were right. Usually horribly wrong. But something that maybe you both were wrong on was Carson Beck. How about that big football game that kid had? I mean, John's shaking his head over here. I know you're angry too. Also, shout out Huffine again. I told you minus 14 was free. I guess it would have been a push, but I told you.
You wouldn't have took the push though.
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather lose than tie. Anyways,
Hot take.
John, are those Georgia Bulldogs going to sneak their way into the playoff?
Yeah, I think Georgia and Bama are going to get in. Do I think either of them should be in? No, but I mean, I think the SEC is just down this year. I really don't think it's as good as everybody says it is. Everyone's beating each other up in that conference. I mean, I think Texas is clear-cut the best team in that conference. Georgia, they're still bad to me. They still have no identity. Nico is banged up. Tennessee's defense honestly played okay in that game. Carson Beck looked a lot better, but I still think that Georgia's season's over. They'll lose in the first round of the college football playoff. They're nothing to worry about at all. This Georgia team, they're still not Georgia, but I do believe Bama is still Bama. So that's up to you guys and what you think on it, but I think Georgia's trash, and I'm not a firm believer, so panic in Athens because you guys are horrible.
DP, what do you think? Give us a quick rundown on the Georgia Bulldogs.
I mean, yeah, Beck looked better this week, but I mean, something else that, Tennessee's offense just went MIA in the second half. Like, there was no pressure for Georgia in the second half at all. They scored 0 points in the second half. So it's just they allowed, Georgia to play free, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because they really weren't threatened by anything at all. That's really it. I mean, we'll see what happens. Does Hayes King, give Georgia a game at the end of the year? Just being able to run the ball as a quarterback.
Right.
Because they ain't going to throw the ball at Georgia Tech.
No.
So we'll see what happens with them. They'll probably make their way in. But the only thing that's beneficial for them is won't be making the SEC championship.
Correct. Mac, you got anything that you'd like to comment on the Georgia game, or do you want us to go roll into the NBA?
I told you guys I saw this coming from a mile away. My takes on Carson Beck hasn't changed. Tennessee's a good defense, and he looked very poised and comfortable this game. But I saw that coming from a mile away. All of Tennessee Twitter crying this morning, why can't we have an offense like when Hendon Hooker was here? It's because your quarterback you paid $10 million for isn't that good, dummy.
Yeah, dummy. But what would you want to add something? Or?
Yeah, not about this. I just want to talk about how bad of a coach Jeff Brom is at Louisville. I mean, first of all, you lose to Stanford on a game-winning field goal. But to run some play-action play with, 12 seconds left, you overthrow a receiver, ends it with 4 seconds left. And then, you get a 15-yard penalty for something stupid that puts them in field goal range.
And then you jump off
sides. I mean, just how undisciplined Louisville is. I mean, I was really hoping that, Louisville would win just so Notre Dame's strength of schedule would keep going up. And then you lose to Stanford on some stuff that you shouldn't lose on.
Sad.
Just embarrassing, going back to his Purdue ways. But, once a boiler, always a boiler for Brom, I guess.
That's correct.
Yeah, same here. I want to talk about Wisconsin, Oregon. I think that Oregon team playing in a very tight game, being the number one team in the country against a very subpar Wisconsin team is definitely a question mark and something that I think a lot of people need to look at. I think Oregon is clear-cut the best team in the country, but watching that game to me, I mean, their offense had no rhythm, and them coming into some big games, I'm starting to wonder if I'm an Oregon fan, if that game made me a little nervous. I think Ohio State, Oregon, two best teams in the country. I think it's a two-man race to win the college football playoff. I think they're going to play in the Big Ten championship, possibly again in the national championship. I think these SEC teams are frauds, and we'll talk about that later down the road when we get the whole playoff picture and everything. But just a little concerning with that Wisconsin Oregon game there.
Wisconsin did just fire their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't get that.
We are going to be rolling into the NBA, and for some, it was a tearjerker. We were in DP's living room again. John, you had some tears shed for that Clay tribute. What did you think about that game? It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a great game. I mean, Klay Thompson, it was great to have him back in the Bay. The standing ovation he got, the Captain Clay hats, it was awesome to see. Everything he did for that franchise, the injuries he toughed out. It just brings me back to a memory of him when he tore his ACL in the finals and came back out of the locker room and shot those 2 free throws because he knew if he didn't, then he would never be able to return to that game. So it was great to see Clay back, but at the end of the day, Curry got that grin on his face, and you knew he wasn't losing that game. He's the proud owner of every single team in the NBA. I mean, he just can take over a game. In the last 3 minutes of the game, Curry 12, Mavericks 3. Luka, where were you? I mean, it's easy to show up in the first and second quarter of games. I thought Clay played great.
He did.
22 points. He hit 5.
You were on his under.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were.
He hit
Down
5 threes. But this Warriors team's deep.
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but Klay Thompson, I love you. Thank you for all you did in Golden State. But the Klay Thompson era is over. The Curry Buddy Hield era is here, and the Warriors are 10-2. So I look for them to keep the ball rolling. I don't see many teams stopping them with how much depth they got.
Yeah, let me grab this real quick. I'll be honest with you, John. I thought the Warriors were going to be horrible. I really did. But you watch every game, so then that makes me have to watch every game because we hang out pretty much every day. So that team is, like you said, it's put together. From top to bottom, they got guys that know their roles, and they got guys like Curry. I mean, when Curry gets that look in his eye, it's in trouble. He had 25 points. I needed 30. There was 3 minutes left in the game. John's lounging on the couch. I'm in
overtime.
I'm in my video game position, and I'm just like, John, this ain't gonna hit. Curry comes out and scores what was it? Nine in a row?
Yeah, he had 36. But he ended with 36 points in that game.
Yeah, this. I mean, Curry's unreal. Changed the game for sure. And that game was awesome to watch. Like we said, we predicted a great one. I said the Mavericks were going to win. Bite my tongue on that one. But, Mackie, if you watched that game, did you watch that game, Mac?
I was dialed into the Champions Classic. Got to see a little bit of the fourth quarter. Saw a lot of flopping and went to bed.
Yeah, I understand. But, DP, since we were together, what was your take on that game?
Yeah, just, typical my fashion. I was, complaining about wanting overtime. Johnny's sitting there in lounge position. Don't worry about it. You'll get there. And, I didn't take his word. And then finally, after Curry started going berserk, he got up, smacked me, and was like, what'd I tell you? Yeah. So this kid knows the Warriors better than anybody that I know. So I just really had to rock with it.
Yeah. Night, Mavs. Night, Mavs.
Wow.
Did hit a parlay in that game. I mean, Curry's over in points, Clay's over in points, over, 4 threes each, that was free. So I think it was a great game, though. We were flipping at the end of that Kentucky-Duke game to tune into that one.
Yeah.
But, it was just a great day for basketball that day, though.
Shout out Cleveland. Wow, the Cavaliers are good.
Cleveland.
14-0, and they're in a dogfight tonight. I mean, this team is legit. 14-0 is ridiculous. Donovan Mitchell is one of my favorite players. Shout out Lewis. And, I mean, undefeated in the NBA is absurd. I mean, because you got guys that can turn it on. You know what I mean? But, John, are these Cavs legit?
Yes, this Cavs team is very legit. I watched that whole entire Cavs-Warriors game, and it was never a doubt the Cavs absolutely blew them out of the water. Or, as I like to say, they motorboated them. But that's the thing. Donovan Mitchell, he's a first, second team All-NBA type of guy. He's an all-star. But to me, this year, he's been their second best player behind Darius Garland. Darius Garland's hooping. They got a lot of good role players on that team. And they just move the ball, they score, they shoot a lot of threes, and they play defense. And honestly, in the NBA, defense is a lot of times the difference because a lot of teams don't play defense. So I look for this Cavs team to get rolling here and keep the ball rolling. You know, they're 14-0, but there's a big one against the Celtics coming up this week.
It is.
And like Mackie said last week, that is another game that is must-see TV. Wow, that Cavs-Celtics game is going to be awesome, and I'm fired up for it. I can't wait.
John loves the NBA, but TV, I'll give it to you.
The Cavs are in a dogfight right now with the LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo Ball, how do you do?
Shout out Hornets announcer. They are in a dogfight with the Hornets right now, though. They do have the big matchup versus the Celtics. But is there any chance that this team can contend with the Heat win streak? Being 14-0 now, was it 27, right?
Yeah, you're right there.
Wow.
I personally do not. I think they lose to the Celtics. I think the Celtics are still the best team in the NBA. Somehow, I mean, I don't know if you guys were watching, but Jason Tatum game winner last night. That game was awesome.
He traveled.
Yeah,
Mackie, did he travel?
He traveled.
He traveled. Continue.
Go figure. Jason Tatum looking for Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown falls, so Jason Tatum has to try to do it himself, which he's usually chokes in those moments. But yeah, I look for this Celtics team to beat the Cavaliers this week, and I'll tell you what, man, this game's gonna be. I'm so fired up. Like I can feel it right now. Like I
can feel
can't wait. I can't wait for this game. It's gonna be great. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. What better matchup can you ask for? I mean,
If they do contend that 27-game win streak, that means they would beat the Celtics twice, the Nuggets once, and the Bucks once.
Yeah, kiss that. Yeah, that record's gone.
well, the Bucks are in shambles right now. And,
Yeah.
and they're our NBA championship pick.
Yeah, that was your pick.
Yeah,
by
that
the
was
way.
my pick, but you know.
Yeah, but we
just got Kansas.
we have to throw them together. Yeah, Kansas. Yeah, I mean,
We'll see you in the Bay soon, Giannis.
Mac, what do you think? I know you're not a huge NBA guy, but can the Cavs pull off 27 in a row or 28?
I do not think they can pull off 27 in a row. I don't see that being the case. DraftKings just opened the Celtics at 3.5 on Tuesday. I will be hitting the 3.5.
Hey, I like it. I like it. We're going into the NFL, though. I mean, that Commanders and Eagles game, you know, once again in DP's house, it was not what I expected. I really thought that we were going to see a 35-35 game. And to my surprise, not. Jaden Daniels looked bad against a good team.
Yeah.
I'm tired of all this Jaden Daniels hype. He's only good for fantasy football. He beats up on non-quality teams.
Yeah.
Every good team he's played against, he's put up just not a good stat line. And I'm tired of it. Shout out Saquon. Live bet you twice. But this Commanders team is not as good as their record shows. What do you think, DP?
You know, I think Washington, offensively, you obviously have Jaden Daniels, but why is Terry McLaurin getting 2 targets in a game like this? I mean, yes, we had his over in receiving yards, so obviously you wanted to, get the targets, but he's your best receiver, and you're targeting him twice, 1 catch for 10 yards. But, the story of the day for them offensively was Austin Eckler. I mean, he was just open. I mean, he had 8 catches for 89 yards, no scores. But, they weren't really getting the movement on the ground, only 63 yards rushing for Brian Robinson Jr. So it was just, check down merchant out of Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny before the game said 15 and a half, he was going to hammer Eckler. And I only told him no because I started him in fantasy this week, and he got that on his first catch, I believe. But, John, is Jaden Daniels a fraud when it comes to good opponents?
So shout out Scary Terry. He's my favorite receiver in the NFL. But so I want to tell you guys a little story about the Commanders. So they were playing the Bengals a few weeks back, and I had $400 on the Bengals money line. I thought there was no way in heck that the Bengals were going to lose that game. And Jaden Daniels looked like an absolute all-star in that football game. He looked like a stud. But every blind squirrel finds a nut.
Wow.
Everyone can play a decent football game. I don't think it's time to panic as a Commanders fan. If anything, I think you've already achieved expectations. I think the Commanders are a good football team, but they're not up there with the big dogs. I think the Eagles are very good. Jalen Hurts needs to be a little better with his arm. I mean, Sirianni's play calling is definitely a question mark, but when you got the best running back in the NFL, well, one or two behind him and Derrick Henry, but that's a big thing for me is Saquon Barkley took over that football game. That Eagles offensive line has always been good, and get ready because the Eagles offensive line Christmas carols are coming soon, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, one other thing, I am so sick and tired of Jalen Hurts stealing touchdowns away from Saquon.
I agree.
I mean, these 1 yard merchant runs out of Jalen Hurts, I mean, he does nothing. He just gets pushed from behind. So, Saquon, you should have like 9 more touchdowns this year.
Right.
I feel sorry for you because Jalen Hurts is a touchdown merchant from you.
Mac, what do you think, man? Is Jaden Daniels for real?
Yes, Jane Daniels is a good quarterback. I will not be taking anything on the rookie quarterbacks from Bears fans. Jaden Daniels has outseeded all expectations for himself so far this year. They might not be ready to compete with the big dogs like John said yet. They're still 7-4. They're minus 600 to make the playoffs. We need to stop overthinking this, guys. He's a rookie.
Okay, to comment on that, I don't like that slander, obviously, me being a Bears fan. If you were to put Jaden Daniels' little skeleton body on that Bears offense, he'd be out on the IR for the rest of the year, and that's not a hot take. Caleb Williams is taking hits that Jaden Daniels would not be able to take, and that is not a hot take. I'm tired of it.
Caleb Williams sucks.
Well, it's just simple. Jaden Daniels also has better pocket awareness than Caleb Williams.
Huh? What did you say?
Jaden Daniels has better pocket awareness than Caleb Williams.
Jaden Daniels isn't getting hit or hurried or pressured every single play he drops
that
back
has
in the
nothing to do with pocket awareness.
How does that not?
If you're getting pressured and hit as much as Caleb Williams, his pocket awareness probably sucks. We saw the same thing with Justin Fields. Obviously, Jaden Daniels has a better offensive line, but he has a better feel for the pressure when it comes than Caleb Williams does. He doesn't spin right into it.
Caleb Williams gets hit every other play. He's got a ticking time bomb in his head if he holds the ball for longer than a second. I will not tolerate this.
They cut Nate Davis, though.
I did see that.
Problem number one. So.
Yeah. But I don't want to talk about this any longer, this slander on Caleb Williams. I don't. But we're going to be heading into the Monday night preview. Shout out J-May, which you guys will meet here soon. Cowboys-Texans. Now I'm hoping Nico Collins goes for a 50 bomb in fantasy because he's back. I'm so excited. He's so talented out of the University of Michigan. Go Big Blue.
That was dumb.
But, I mean, this is going to be a swamp fest, I think. I think Stroud's going to find his rhythm against this poor Cowboys team. And that's how I feel about it. I think it's going to be a boring game that we're going to have to watch tomorrow. I just think it's going to be an absolute beating. DP, what do you think?
When are they going to start Trey Lance?
Yeah.
I think you'll see him tomorrow.
I mean, to me, that gives them a better than putting, Cooper Rush out there. Why not? What's there to lose? Dak's done for the year, so you're going down the drain anyway. Your division is, a good division besides the Giants. You got the Eagles and Washington right now. But yeah, just another boring Monday night game probably. I mean, Houston might do Houston things and, screw it up, and the Cowboys are in the game in the fourth quarter. Shout out Kyrie Fairbairn. But we'll see what happens with that game. It probably will be a game that I'll probably bet basketball instead.
Right. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, sorry, J-May, but they need to stop putting the Texans in primetime football games. And this Cowboys team should not be on any more. Why is this game not flexed? The Steelers played the Ravens today. The Chiefs played the Bills. Why is this game not flexed?
It's poor.
This Texans team, to me, I mean, you could talk about all you want about how the Cowboys haven't looked great. The Texans haven't looked great either. Everybody was talking about how bad Anthony Richardson was, and they lost by 2 and 3 to a team that is a Super Bowl contender in the Houston Texans, which absolutely is not true. I don't think either of these teams are great, and honestly, I'll probably just bet the under because I think it's going to be ugly. I think there's going to be very few points, a lot of running the ball. C.J. Stroud scrambling around for his life because that Texans offensive line's terrible. Cowboys, again, they don't have a run game. I don't know why they got rid of Tony Pollard. It makes no sense to me. And Jerry Jones is an idiot. Wow. CeeDee Lamb is their best player, and Dak is their franchise quarterback. And he came out last week and he said, I thought we were going to be better without Dak Prescott. Why'd you pay him? What was the point of paying him? I'll take him in Indy gladly. I'll take him on the Colts.
Yeah, that team needs help. Anyways, Mac,
You know, that's strictly because don't be shocked if McCarthy's fired and all of a sudden here comes, Shadur and Dion to, Dallas.
wow, what a take. Mac, what's your preview on this Monday night game?
Okay, so my AirPod died on me here, so the audio might be a little below average here for a second. But I'll take the Texans. I will lay the 7.5. I realistically think it should be about 9.5. And then the only thing I'm really excited about watching this game is maybe we'll get to see Trey Lance. That's it.
Yeah, but that does bring us to your segment, buddy. Mac, give us a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, perfect time for this segment, right when the AirPods go out.
Yeah,
We'll be getting my microphone soon. Just have to make the trek back to Northwest Indiana and do the live show. It'll happen here soon. But we're gonna go one NFL, one college football for low line hanging fruit here. Everyone says I hate the Bears, and I just pile it on when they're down. But line just opened on DraftKings. The Bears are getting 4 against the fraudulent Minnesota Vikings, and I will lay that happily all day. It's about time for Darnold's downfall.
That took a lot of ego from Mackie to bet a Bears line.
You couldn't pay me $1,000 to bet a Bears line.
This kid will be on whoever Colts money line with Minnesota next week.
Hey, every single Sunday I place the Colts money line with whoever the heck the Bears are playing because the Bears suck.
Mac, I like that actually. For Darnold just hasn't been looking as sharp as he was at the beginning of the year, and I don't think that's like a secret. I personally thought that the Bears were gonna. I thought they weren't gonna cover the spread today. I was on the -5 for the Packers. But I mean, I was excited. We had some creativity on offense, and we haven't seen that in so long. But Mac, I like that +4. DP, what do you think? Is that like a good line? You think?
We'll see how Sam Darnold plays up against the defense. The Bears obviously have cover corners that can guard Jefferson and Addison. Linebackers play the run well versus Aaron Jones. So I guess it'll all be determined how the game flows. But we'll see how the Vikings D line could really affect Caleb Williams. And Packers D line is not bad either. They only had 3 sacks, and Caleb seemed to be a lot more comfortable today. New offensive coordinator, so it should be a fun one next week.
So you guys remember kind of how I kept talking about how many times can Cam Ward save Miami?
Yes.
How much can Justin Jefferson save Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm starting to wonder. Just look at the Vikings played a 12-7 game against the Jaguars last week.
Sad.
And the Lions just beat the Jags 52-6 in an NFL football game. You never see a score like that. So I am with Mackie here. I probably will take the Bears +4 in this game. I think the Vikings win by 3. It's going to be an ugly game, but I love the pick there, Mac, and I might have to root for Caleb Williams for once in my life. Maybe I'll go get a pedicure so I could be like him this week.
This guy is so
You
irritating.
love that one, bud.
Mac, what's your second pick, buddy?
All right, I said we'd get to it. John, you're not going to like this one. Actually, I don't think any of you three are going to like it. Ohio State opens up on Circa at -11. Line is incorrect. It should be at least 14. Give me the Buckeyes. Get them now. I think the Buckeyes are in for a field day Saturday afternoon.
So Mackie had too much bourbon today. It's not correct. If anything, I think it should be 8.5, and I cannot wait. Clip it, Tyler. Shout out the cameraman. This Hoosiers team's for real. I'm done listening to everyone say they're not. I think the line should be 8.5 or 9.5. I just don't believe in Will Howard. I do not. That's my take. I don't know. It should be 8.5, and I will gladly take the 11.
Mackie, you're crazy. You are absolutely out of your mind. I mean, this Ohio State team hasn't really blown out anybody this year. They were in a 4-point game at home against a bad Nebraska team, dude. Indiana is by far the best team that they have. I think the second best team that they've played this year. Oregon, obviously the best, but I think IU would beat Penn State personally. I do not think that line should be anywhere near 14. I think IU, if they're going – this is what I think about this game. I think if it is a close game, IU is going to win. If Ohio State is going to win, it's going to be by 10, 11, 12 points. So I think the spread is probably about right where I think it should be. But give me the Hoosiers with the points all day. Ohio State is – I agree with Zach. I love Ohio State, OHIO, but Will Howard is not that good. And it's going to be a great football game. I mean, I'd stay away from the lines, and I'd just enjoy it because it's going to be fun to watch.
DP?
Hey, I hate betting. I hate using history when I bet because it gets you in trouble in the long run. 2020, what happened when the beloved Hoosiers walked into the shoe?
They lost by 7.
Yeah, and they weren't even close the entire game. They had to come back from down 28 to get to 7.
But they lost by 7, which covers the spread.
Hey, Mackie.
Mackey's drunk.
Hey, Mackie, Tom Allen's not at Indiana anymore. Let's not talk about 4 years ago.
Can't bring that up.
All I'm going to say is you guys will see.
Yeah.
38-17 Buckeyes. Thank me later.
Wrong. Here we go, DP. What do you think, buddy?
After a 2-0 week last week, gentlemen.
Wrong. Nice. You're 2-2 on the year. Low-hanging fruit. He's about to do Hey, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, so for this game, really trying to organize defense.
I already know what's coming.
And as John said, close game that, he thinks the Hoosiers will win. But if it's a close game, this is one where I think the Ohio State Buckeyes defense wins them another game. That's only because, as John said, NIL wins. And these kids want to win this game. I use going into this game thinking that they can win this game. And I'm sure Ohio State's hearing it, that, IU's undefeated. Should they be ahead of them in the rankings because they haven't lost yet? I think it could be a bloodbath early, as in, a dogfight early. So there could be, it actually wouldn't surprise me if it's 0-0 at halftime. Yeah. But, defense will make plays at the end of games. This is not the SEC where defense doesn't help you at all, as we saw last couple weeks, with Bama Georgia games ending in the 40s. If that's 2011, that game's 9-6. Yep. And that's just not it. Big Ten plays different football. Not saying Big Ten's better than the SEC, but Ohio State's defense wound up winning the game.
Look for coaching to play a huge factor in this game. I think Signetti's not going to be scared to go for it in ballsy situations on 4th down and stuff like that. Ryan Day is a certified choker. He's scared to make the big call. He's scared to go for it in certain points of a game. I almost feel like Ryan Day plays not to lose football games. And being an Ohio State fan, it sucks, but I think this is going to be awesome. This is going to be electric, and I'm so excited to be there.
So that wraps us up. We're in a consensus, obviously, on Hoosiers' money line. Right, guys? Hoosiers! Shout out Kurt
It's probably worth a
Tignetti.
sprinkle.
Mackie, I don't know what you're doing out there. I didn't like your take at all. But, hey, I guess I'll sprinkle on it because it's low-hanging fruit, and that's what I do with your picks. But that wraps up episode 3, guys. Had a good time.
Absolutely.
Mac, we'll see you next episode, buddy.
Yep. See you next Sunday.
All right, buddy. Beanie Boys, we're going.
Out.